I've been thinking a lot about summer lately, and I've come to a rather surprising conclusion. Summer is a lot like the Christmas or Hanukkah holidays, except that it lasts for 3 months. Stay with me here. We spend months looking forward to it. The weather finally turns warm, the gardens bloom, the patios fill up, the grandchildren get out of school, and suddenly social media is full of Cape Cod, Nantucket, lake cabins, boats, family reunions, grandchildren holding sparklers, and perfect sunsets. Everyone appears to be having exactly the summer they are supposed to be having. And if you're a solo woman, it's easy to wonder, am I doing summer wrong? I have a confession, and it's a big one. That is that I don't want a house on Cape Cod. There, I said it. Living in Boston, I realized that might get me removed from the state entirely. And in Minnesota, where I spend a good bit of time during, especially the summer months, helping my daughter and grandchildren, saying you don't want a lake cottage is practically a crime. But the truth is, the thought of packing my car every Friday, driving 2 hours, unlocking a second house, and spending the weekend there alone just doesn't have any appeal to me. Zero. Yet every summer, I find myself wondering if everyone else has figured out something that I haven't yet. And this year, I finally realized that I was asking the wrong question. The question isn't, what summer do other people have? The question is, what would make this summer memorable for me? That is a completely different question. Because when I sat down and thought about it, none of my answers involved buying a second home. None involved a boat. None involved moving somewhere else. Instead, my list looked something like this: walking around Lake of the Isles with a couple of old friends, introducing my grandchildren to the joy of splashing in a lake that I experienced as a kid, taking them for hot dogs at the bandstand afterward, having a picnic in my daughter's backyard, finding a beautiful rose garden and spending an afternoon there, discovering a new place to walk in Boston, going to Boston Pop's concert, spending an afternoon at the Quinn, drinking tea in the reading room and pretending I'm a visitor in my own city. Reading books, attending book talks, spending time in gardens. Not one item on that list is expensive. Not one required ownership. Every single item, though, required participation. And that may be the biggest lesson summer has taught me. A memorable summer is not something we buy. It's something we create. Now, I do think it's important to acknowledge something, and that is that summer can be lonely, particularly for women who are on their own. Last year, I watched the Boston fireworks for the 4th of July from my apartment. If you've never experienced Boston's Pop's 4th of July celebration, it is extraordinary. The music, the crowds, the fireworks over the Charles River. It is absolutely spectacular. And yet, I remember feeling surprisingly lonely. Not because the fireworks weren't beautiful. They were. The music was spectacular. But beauty and connection are not the same thing. And that's when I realized that loneliness isn't always solved by being somewhere exciting. It's an interesting idea. I have felt loneliness, or have felt lonely, I should say, in beautiful places. I felt lonely while traveling. I felt incredibly lonely when I was on a cruise that I took by myself years ago. Yet recently, I spent time in England with a group of women I barely knew, and I didn't feel lonely at all. Why was that? Conversation, connection, shared experiences. I've learned that what I crave isn't necessarily excitement, it's engagement. It's about having something to look forward to, which brings me to maybe my most unscientifically backed summer advice. Stop waiting for summer to happen. Create anticipation instead, because anticipation is one of life's greatest pleasures. Put things on the calendar, not huge things, little things. Here's your calendar: a walk, a concert, a garden, a lunch, a museum, a train ride, a book event, a picnic. In fact, let's talk about the picnic, because somehow we have convinced ourselves that picnics require a group, or at least a significant other. Why? Why can't one person have a lovely picnic? In Paris, you'll see those kinds of picnics all over the place. So take a blanket, a good book, some strawberries, a sandwich, a thermos of iced tea or your drink of choice, and find a shady tree, a lake, a garden, a park bench, and give yourself an afternoon that feels very different from every other afternoon. The older I get, the more I realize that joy is often hiding inside of these small experiences, not the grand ones, the small ones, the ones we almost talk ourselves out of. I think many of us spend summer waiting. We're waiting for the invitation. We're waiting for plans, waiting for someone to call, waiting for something interesting to happen. Meanwhile, summer just quietly slips by. So this year, I'm trying something different. The new me. I'm asking myself, what would make this season memorable? Not impressive, not expensive, but memorable. And perhaps that's the question I'll leave you with today. What would make this summer memorable for you? Maybe it's a garden you've always wanted to start. Maybe it's a train trip. Maybe it's a picnic. Maybe it's calling an old friend and going for a walk. Whatever it is, put it on the calendar. Give yourself something to anticipate. Because I've learned that loneliness isn't always cured by being around people. It's often erased by having something to look forward to. And perhaps that is the real secret to a beautiful summer. Not where you spend it, but how fully you participate in it. Before I go, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So please do comment below. What would make this summer memorable for you? Remember, not impressive, not expensive, just memorable. And if you'd like a little extra inspiration this summer, I welcome you to join me over on Substack. Every Thursday, I send out my free letter called Letters from Sharri, where I share observations and stories and places I'm exploring and lessons I'm learning as I navigate my own next chapter. And for those that want maybe a little more, my paid subscriber receives something called Notes from the Salon Table. More personal reflections, behind the scenes stories, travel notes. That's where I talk about books, style, cooking, and all of the things we discuss as if we were sitting together over a cup of tea. I'll leave the links below, but until next time, don't wait for summer to find you. Go create one that is worth remembering. A biento.